So we're going to start today with a definite recommendation for a new website that I found that's done some really, really good citizen journalism, and I have to absolutely recommend them 110%. They are the guys who recently exposed the Tory housing minister giving his friend basically, shall we say, here's a bunch of money, and oh yeah, there's that housing development. There's now you can somehow magically build. And once again, that's another housing minister that's been in the job for less than 8 months. And remember, we are in a housing crisis, and yet since the Tories came to power, there has not been a housing minister in the position longer than 12 months. Just think on that. Imagine we had a revolving door for like the foreign secretary, or the the oh the chancellor. Imagine we hadn't had a chancellor in position longer than 18 months or 16 months. That would be shocking to people. But here you have a situation which everyone agrees with, and yet we haven't had a guy longer in. But that's beside the point. We're getting on to something else far different. But yeah, definitely go follow these guys. Start checking them out. Like I say, they've been doing some really, really good citizen journalism with that. They will be behind uncovering that. So go, by all means, go. Go support them. Yorkshire Bylines, they are generally amazing. But we're going to cover something different from them today because, once again, we're going back to fishing. Why fishing played a massive talking point during the referendum campaign and all of a sudden disappeared. Why? Because, well, put it in plain, simple terms, we've discussed this before. What the fishermen you generally tend to see that were brought up in this campaign were like the mom and pop stores, I suppose, the sole business owner. They own these rather small boats who want more access to fish. They want to fish more. But the problem comes in that they're actually up against these massive super trawlers. And these massive super trawlers can do in a day what it takes one of these small fishing boats a month to do. So these fishermen are in an interesting situation that they're actually up against modernisation and mechanisation, and then they're compounded by that fishing rights and how we parcel them out do go to these larger companies, which, let's say, it makes sense. As we've said, they can do in a day what it takes the smaller fishing boats a month to do. So it makes sense that they get a larger share. However, it does make sense that maybe they need to have a larger share, maybe they need to catch more fish. However, we get into another problem that, well, they lie. Let's put it quite bluntly. They lie about their catch and the size and the weight and what they catch, so that our government, our own sector that parcels out, can't actually give an accurate number because they lied. Because they're worried that if they maybe told them the truth, that they might have a smaller share than they might normally get if they lied. And there are a number of other issues. We've discussed these before, but today we're going to go over what they've covered with the Daily Express, because the Daily Express is a pretty rah cheerleader for Brexit. When Brexit comes tumbling down, we'll see how quickly that changes. However, this from the Yorkshire Bylines today: the Daily Express, fishing in a parallel universe. The Daily Express has for a long time had the reputation as a newspaper for a parallel universe. For several days, they have been suggesting that the EU is about to offer huge concessions on fishing rights in order to help reach an agreement on trade with the UK. The headlines have been increasingly jingoistic. The EU mandate and Michael Barnier have always been very clear. Without a long-term agreement on fishing which upholds existing rights, there will be no trade deal. So these reports by the Express have always seemed like much of their other Brexit coverage, and not, to put a too fine a point on it, at odds with reality. Yesterday at 12:38, their Brussels correspondent Joe Barnes reported Brexit victory for Frost as EU cave on fishing rights in massive win. Barnier flawed. Never once to underestimate anything, the Express sub-editors added British negotiators could seal their first major victory in trade talks with the European Union as the bloc prepares to offer concessions on its maximalist fishery demands. Which I must say came as a bit of a surprise to me, and I assume to many others, perhaps even the EU itself, who didn't seem to know anything about it in the early afternoon. Tori Connolly, the much respected European editor for RTE, retweeted. Update on reports that the EU is prepared to drop its maximalist approach to fisheries, a sector which is proving a key stumbling block in the future relationship and negotiations. Remember, the EU has said that there is no fisheries deal, there is no free trade deal. In the ensuing Twitter thread, Connolly explained that the issue is over Britain's insistence on using a methodology known as zonal attachment to replace the existing quota share-out system known as reflective sustainability. He said that Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, was told to hold a video conference with the fishery ministers of that group for eight member states, including Ireland. The ministers were expected to bluntly tell Mr. Barnier that he must stick to the mandate which the member states agreed to give him at the outset. Namely, that EU vessels should continue to enjoy the same access to UK waters as they did under the Common Fisheries Policy. On May 15th, Barnier apparently told a news conference that there had been some movement on fisheries. The zonal attachment was one element in a possible solution, he said, but not the only element. Some, including the Daily Express, saw this as a signal that the EU was getting close to compromise on the issue. The zoning agreement is apparently devilishly complicated. The UK believes that it would restore much of the quota to UK vessels in British waters, but some member states require it as a quota grab disguised up as science. More than that, Connolly's EU source says that the science isn't there to provide that kind of data the UK is referring to. The ZA is already being discussed in Brussels, but it has taken years of talks on mackerel quotas alone with no agreement yet. And the EU and the UK share over 100 different types of fish. It could therefore take decades, but we were still insisting on it. In the interim, between Barnier's tentative offer on May 15th and today, the mood among member states has hardened, not least because David Frost's letter on the 19th of May, which has been seen by many as inflammatory. EU member states largely accept that the draft negotiating mandate drawn up by the European Commission in January. However, they made the language on fisheries in the final mandate even tougher, something Connolly was told the EU's chief negotiator was to be reminded of in the video conference yesterday afternoon. Adding to the pressure, the EU's Fishery Committee has adopted a resolution that no comprehensive agreement can be concluded between the EU and the UK if it does not include a competitive balance and long-term fisheries agreement allowing communication under optimal conditions and access to waters, resources and markets of the parties concerned. And at 6:03, Connolly tweeted again. Ireland's Fishery Minister Michael Creed has told RT News that today's video call with Michel Barnier told the EU's fishing minister that he would stick rigidly to the negotiating mandate given to him by member states, i.e. continued access to UK waters for EU fleets and vice versa. And at 6:42, Barnier himself confirmed it. The Daily Express then backtracked but took an entirely different view of what happened. At 1917, we got this. EU civil war erupts. States furious as Barnier poised to surrender to UK on Brexit deal. With a story that claimed that Barnier was under pressure not to surrender to Britain too early after it emerged the European Union's chief negotiator was prepared for significant climb downs on its fisheries policy. It appeared to claim that Barnier was preparing a significant climb down and that he was under pressure not to surrender too early. But the report made it clear. The Frenchman was warned by the bloc's most influential fishery capitals that he must not continue to demand status access to Britain's waters as part of any post-Brexit trade deal agreement. They said that he must uphold existing reciprocal access conditions and quota shared and traditional activity for European trawlermen. It's hard to fathom what befuddled Express readers were to make of it all, but in Brexit land, many are going to be in for an unwelcome surprise. This is typical Daily Express, fudgery. Say one thing and then backtrack on it, minutes later. And as we've said before, many of these papers have been overhyping what the potential is going to be, and it's going to be really fun. Especially from January, how they're going to try and actually spin all these apparent successes. Needless to say, it's going to be quite fun, because two things are either going to happen. Either A, they're going to continue to deny reality and try to, as I said, continue this alternate reality that they seem to be spinning to their readers. Who knows? Maybe the Daily Express office is just based in a parallel universe Britain, and its papers just magically get delivered to our Britain, and the real Daily Express that's in our universe get delivered to that universe instead by accident. So who knows? Maybe it's just a massive timey-wimey space-time conundrum there that's going on. But yeah, sooner or later something's got to give. And as we've said before, reality is a harsh mistress, and the Daily Express is going to certainly be finding out that quite soon.